Geof, I don't want to be mad at you right now, and I'm afraid this is going to come off as harsh, but I'm really pissed that you haven't been answering your emails. It's like I end up having to take on the responsibility for all of our clients contacting us because you don't check your messages.
I love that every time you preface something with, I don't want to be harsh, exactly what follows that is you being a bitch. But I'm sorry, let me listen to your actual concern.
We've talked in our relationship about me bringing more anger, and I'm trying to be unfiltered.
Bring the anger.
Well, now I don't feel safe to bring the anger.
What do you mean you don't feel safe?
I feel like you are joking and shutting me down, and you don't really want to hear what I have to say.
Well, I don't want to hear what you have to say.
Meta. I am annoyed because I feel hurt, and I really want you to stop coming at me. I feel like I want to retreat, but I don't know how to.
I'm going to say something jokingly reassuring.
I'm going to respond with a put down so that you understand that was inappropriate.
Yeah, see, you're escalating. So I'm just going to continue escalating because I can go way farther in my level of comfort than you can. My zone acceptance.
I'm going to withdraw a little bit while I have to mentally choose in my head, is he really annoyed? And how angry is he getting? And should I go to caretake for him, or should I keep bringing my experience?
I'm going to chase after her because honestly, if I don't make some type of reparation by the point that she starts drawing out, this is going to go on for weeks. In fact, I may have to go rescue her from a field 2 miles away from now, naked, at 3 o'clock in the morning because she needed to prove a point.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you because it seems like you're blowing things out of proportion. And I have a value about staying honest and in the moment. And so I'm going to subtly judge you for doing bad communication.
I'm going to make a solid point about the reason that I blow things out of proportion because it brings the actual levity to the situation.
I'm going to question your logic and reason.
And I'm going to be right.
Because... So...
That's a little gross.
This is how our fights sometimes go.
I like to think it's how they used to go.
They still go, oftentimes like that. See, we're even contradicting each other. Something that I have learned from Geof over time is that there is care underneath his intensity and how to match his language. Because at first, I felt like it was cruel. Are you still being right over there? Yeah. On video. Just shutting me down. Yeah. So supportive. I didn't joke like this at the start of the relationship. And how did I get there?
I have no idea.
You facilitated it.
I guess I did. To be fair, I had a really hard time turning curiosity on. Turning on curiosity felt like giving up my own position, which felt like giving in inside of a conflict. And this wasn't limited to me and Sarah's relationship. This happened everywhere in my life. So when I had a stated position that I was right and I knew I was right, getting curious about someone else's position almost felt like I was admitting that not only was I wrong, but the other person themselves was right. Not a great way to approach conversations, it turns out. Definitely not a great way to win hearts and minds.
I know one thing that changed for me, and I'm curious to hear how this changed for you, is we had a lot of meta conversations and debriefs. We would get into a fight, we would go and cool off a little bit, and then later on, we would get together and be like, okay, so what happened there? And we kind of have the same context conversation that you just witnessed. Like, what was underneath the things that you were doing? What is your past trauma that led to this? What were you wanting? Why did you get triggered? We would oftentimes have these on long road trips. Like, I personally think that being stuck together for long periods of time with very little to do, because one of you is driving, is a real potentiator for a relationship. And over time, as we started to understand each other, it felt like we could shift our patterns a little bit because we understood the concerns underneath what each other was saying, so we could choose a different context.
Something that you just said right there means a lot to me, which is that we shifted the patterns. We stopped looking at the individual arguments because the arguments themselves always did the same thing over and over again. And so instead of really investing in one of us being right or wrong in an individual argument, what we started attacking was, how do we just do this entire thing better? The Gottmans say that something like 59% of all marital arguments, relationship arguments, can't be solved, right? They're going to be perpetual. There is an agree to disagree in these things. The same thing that triggers this argument over and over again, it's always going to come up. So if we don't find a better way to negotiate those situations, we are just doomed to do this thing forever.
Something that happens in conflict often, I think, between partners is one person judges the other's style of conflict, which is very much what happened with me and Geof at the beginning.
She was so right.
I was so right. I thought that
the rightest.
All conflict should be reflecting and being curious on top of your own intense emotions. Just shove those into the corner and make sure you do very kind and conscious communication.
This is the way.
Yeah. And so anytime Geof was unfiltered, I thought that was wrong.
And, I honestly just want to be told, it pisses me off that you didn't take out the trash. Not, it's a really nice day outside. I'm wondering why you didn't take a walk with that trash bag down to the end of the road. It seemed like it would have been nice.
So we gave each other really direct feedback on the way that our communication impacted each other. Geof told me that when I did that kind of passive communication, he felt
as active as it got.
Yeah, he felt manipulated. And he wanted more directness. And we had to work on what was underneath me not being direct and how I could get safe to get there. My brother used to do a lot of poking at me and joking and cruel jokes when I was young. And so I associated that kind of directness and play as dangerous and hurtful.
And I really needed to learn the difference between Socratic questioning and leading questions.
So
that wasn't going well.
So through a lot of debriefs and trying to find ways of not judging each other's communication, but instead figuring out how to work with it, we've created a kind of weird conflict style that works really well for us and resolves conflict really quickly. And now we teach it. And we'd love to invite you into it too.
I think there's a big difference between what we teach and what a lot of the other courses out there teach. And I think it's really alive in the thing that you just said, which is we have a really weird way of dealing with conflict in our relationship. And I've seen a lot of courses on repair, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 29 step processes for going through conflict inside of relationships. A lot of, I just said it before, but this is the way. And conflict and conversational styles are not a one-size-fits-all or any relationship package. The way that we teach about conflict is resourcing you with the tools and the philosophy to find an authentic way toward negotiating and navigating conflict together in your own relationships. It's learning how to leverage those inflection points in your relationship to not just weather a storm, but to grow from it. And I think that's really important. It's an important differentiation in the way we approach this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how to always be right in conversations with your partner, because really the important thing is to finish an argument knowing that they're have gotten a little bit smaller inside, really understood the ways in which they're incorrect as a person and should feel shame about it.
Yes, dear.
Come join us for the Art of Difficult Conversations starting this spring with the two of us.